It's the World Center of Racing here at the Daytona International Speedway, and there is no better place to spend the 2nd of July here for the Grand National Series of the Fuel Racing League. Hello everybody, my name is Trey Wright, and we welcome you to Daytona International Speedway for round number 7 of the Fuel Grand National Series 2025 second segment season here. The Coke Zero Sugar 160K at Daytona here on the North American Sim Racing Network, about 2 minutes and 13 seconds before we will get underway for 40 laps around the high banks of the World Center of Racing. Set to be a good one here in this middle race. Rather, we're officially in the back end of the season here, the second segment season for 2025 segment 2 of the Fuel Grand National Series. 2 minutes remaining here in happy hour, so we're gonna go over the starting lineup. For the Coke Zero Sugar 160K, Keith Hughes. It's RJ Bishop. Nearly goes into Lake Lloyd, looking to see where Keith Hughes is starting. There he is, lining up right at the pole marker there, right at the beginning of the exit of pit road, I should say. He's driving number 82 Bucky's Honda Accord. He will sit on the pole with Blake Warren to his outside, beating Blake Warren by about 2/100ths of a second here in his qualifying. Those two will make up row number 1. Apollo Hyde and Vincenzo Focusato in row 2. Bobby Simpson, Victor Nunez in row 3. Nicky Conti and Gavin Feliciatis in row 4. Winty Wolf, Brendan Whitford in row 5, Trek Togger, Bill Turner in row 6, Keon Daly and Tate Dorsey in row number 7. Everybody from Tate Dorsey all the way down to Ike Durbin did not put down a qualifying lap. They were put in based on practice times. 18 entries for the Coke Zero 160K. And this has certainly been a season that's been dominated by 2 drivers so far. That man right there with 4 of the wins here in 2025, second segment of the 2025 season. Apollo Hyde, 4 wins on the season. Vincenzo Focusato with the other 2. Trying to find if Focusato is on the track yet, and he is not. But Daytona, it's a wild card race. Everybody knows it. And it is certainly going to be a fun one here, where anybody can win. Any of these 18 drivers can win here on the high banks of Daytona. There's a look at the 9 car of Winty Wolf. Victor Nunez in the 18 machine, also making his season debut in the number 18 car with 6 previous starts. Piloting in the number 18, M&M's 4th of July patriotic scheme. Of course, this is the 4th of July race here for the Fuel Racing League Grand National Series. A couple of drivers with patriotic paint schemes. There's Vincenzo Focusato, who's second in the point standings coming into today. Tyler Stallhood is 3rd in the point standings. No sign of him on the track yet. But we are ready to go here in 30 seconds for the race. Here's a look at Trek Togger in the number 16 machine. Ike Durbin in the 86. Not going to see the 98 of Keon Daly is on track yet. 10 seconds to go here in happy hour, and we're going to step aside for a couple of moments where we'll take you in the pre-race ceremonies where we'll get things underway for race number 7 of the 2025 season.
Drivers, start your engines!
And the engines have been fired here on the back straightaway. All 18 cars ready to roar to life here. Everybody just trying to get underway. There is a look at the number 82 Bucky's Accord. Keith Hughes won the most recent race here on the Fuel Racing League. Won the season finale for Season 2 at Michigan last week in the 82, and he's looking to pick up right where he left off from that race as everybody will get up and going. 40 laps, 100 miles, the point of no return will be lap 35, and these guys Going to be able to only do about 18 laps of pit stops here, until they will have to come down for at least fuel. But there's no better way to celebrate Independence Day here in the United States than going racing at the World Center of Racing. Pace car is down the pit lane. Keith Hughes is the control car. He will see the green flag fly, and we're underway for race 7 from Daytona. Inside lane breaking away here on lap number 1, and Hughes will come around to lead the opening lap of competition. Rest of the field beginning to sort themselves out. And it looks like Victor Nunez had a little bit of an issue right off the start in the 18 I should say, so he fell back early. Nunez, who was slotted to start this race in 6th, will fall all the way back to 18th. Now the pack beginning to form up a little bit, getting a little squirrely down on the bottom was the one of Hyde. Talking to him a little bit before this race, and still trying to wrangle these super speedway style races together. But he does have 4 wins already this season, leads the point standings by a fairly wide margin over Vincenzo Focasato. He's got a 41-point lead over Focasato coming into this afternoon's race. Right now, running in 2nd. There's Winty Wolf up on the high side in car number 9. He's got Blake Warren right behind him. Of course, very early on in the contest, nobody willing to make a move just yet, but it's that inside lane that's coming down now. Dropping down to the low side, that's the 84 machine, Crystal Bennett, who's going to drop way out of this mess, and he'll fall to the back along with the 86 of Ike Durbin. Bennett might lose a little bit more time than he anticipated. Also a little bit off the pace there is the 6 of Tate Dorsey. Hughes will once again come around to lead lap number 3. He's led all 3 laps so far of this contest. And Bennett will fall like a rock in that number 84 car. Bennett will fall down to 16th. Dorsey is in 17th. Nunez is in 18th. He is 1 lap down. So 17 cars on the lead lap so far here in this contest. Already 10% of the way through the Coke Zero Sugar 160K here at the Daytona International Speedway. Glad you could join us here on the North American Sim Racing Network as Wolf trying to make his way to the front there on the high side in that Bass Pro Shops number 9. Running that car, Honor Noah Gragson. Keon Daly will poke a little bit out of line there in car number 94. He'll shoot back down low. 2 lanes of traffic, all thundering down the back straightaway here at Daytona. Durbin a little bit squirrely there in the back. Focasato, 3rd car in that outside lanes, trying to make his way to the front. Here comes Wolf now up the high lane, trying to challenge for the race lead. A little bit loose out of the corner. He was trying to get that run down to the inside, door to door. And Winty Wolf, who has been a super speedway mercenary over these last couple of years, will go to the front in car number 9. He was trying to peek a little bit back down to the low side there in that number 82, and these two remain door-to-door for the top spot here on lap number 6. Bobby Simpson, 3rd car on the inside lane there in car number 30, and we're going to go on board with Simpson. He goes down the back straightaway into turns 3 and 4. on this Exalta number 30 machine. Focusano a little bit loose coming out of the corner. Wolf blocks the low lane. Now will go back high to block up Warren. Trying to block both lanes at once here. And now Winty is going to be caught in the middle of a 3-wide situation. Warren up on the high side. Wolf is going to fall back like a rock in that Bass Pro Shops Camaro. Now 3 wide for second as Hughes will shoot to the front. Hyde just trying to get out of that situation. Wolf trying to find a place back in line to the 9. And he will finally fall down there. Now into the wall goes Tyler Stallhood, and around they go in turn number 3. Upside down, a couple of cars into the catch fence. Yellow flag is out. 5, 6 cars going upside down between 3 and 4. And the caution flag has come out for a big accident here on lap number 7. Stallhood, the 85 of Nicky Conti. Durbin among the cars involved. Saw Bill Turner have a horrifying ride up into the catch fence, and he will likely be knocked out of this contest, and the yellow flag will fly. And there doesn't look like there's going to be a whole lot of cars left in this contest. That all got started when Tyler Stallhood got loose going into turn number 3. We're going to get a couple of looks at this one. So this starts going into turn 3, and I think that was a little bit of a reaction from Wolf getting a little loose down the low side. It's a little bit of a pinch there from RJ Bishop. Simpson gets involved, Durbin is in it, and then watch that 98 car and the 88 all up into the catch fence. Durbin up on 2 wheels. You got the 46, that's Gavin Feliciatis, who goes hard. He net-coated very, very hard there. The 30 was also upside down. Not sure who's going to be left in this race. We do know that the 98 was teleported back to the pit lane. I believe Bishop was able to drive that 88 car back. Got another couple of looks here. We'll start on with the onboard there for the 7. See onboard with Tyler Stallhood, and yeah, not exactly what you want. And look at that 98 car go up into the catch fence. Pretty violent wreck here with all the net coating going on. And here's an onboard look with Bill Turner. He's going to be caught right in the middle of this, and he just gets launched up into the catch fence and lost the camera there for a brief moment. That is a tough break for that National Guard car. And we are back here at the Daytona International Speedway. Fell out of the server there for a brief moment after watching what happened to the 98 of Bill Turner. Looks like Bill Turner has fallen out of the server as well, I potentially believe. I don't see him on the racetrack, and I don't see him on the scoring pylon. Not sure if there was something that happened there. But Keith Hughes chose the inside lane coming to the choose cone, so your top 5 will be the following. Hughes, Warren, Keon Daly will shoot up to 3rd. Tyler Apollo, and Gavin Feliciatis will round out the top 5 there in car number 46. Pace car back down the pit lane. And here we go. 30 laps to go. Here in the Coca-Cola Zero Sugar, 160K, and a good restart there for the 86 of Hughes. After the big one, taking out quite a few drivers. A couple of cars getting black flags there as well. We're starting on the inside, I believe. We'll have to see how those will all be cleared. But here we go. Battle for the race lead. Blake Warren up on the high side of the 82 of Hughes. 4-car breakaway for the top spot. 3 of them on the outside lane. And Hughes will fall down on the low side. Started on pole for this race. Stallhood, a little bit of a warpage in and out there in the 1 car. But he will now go up to second. Excuse me, that's Apollo High. Tyler Stallhood still in the race somehow in the 7 car. Again, we have moderate damage turned on. So most of the drivers that are still in that crash, that were involved in that crash, will remain in the race. Warren out front of the red, white, and blue, number 8 machine. Hyde right behind him, trying not to do a little bit of a bumper grab on the 8 car, and here comes Daly on the low side. He was shot out of a cannon. Had a big run developing right behind Focusato, and he'll be the first car on the inside lane. He was trying to get back up there in the 82. And going around there was Bobby Simpson in the 30. I'm not sure if he went around or if he just came down for the black flag, and Tate Dorsey way out of control in the 6 car. He's able to regain control of that Spotify American flag machine. We'll tuck back in line along with the 46 and the 9. And Winston Wolf, who was leading for a couple of laps, dropping back to the back there along with the 46 of Felicitas. Gavin Felicitas has had a couple of really good starts here so far this season as we back up to the front. 5-car train trying to make that a 6-pack. Was Hughes in that Buck Hughes machine. He's trying to get up there, and now Victor Nunez will drop down to the low side. Nunez was able to get the lucky dog. After that caution, as Durbin very net coating hard there in the 86. Nunez now up to 4th. He's battling for the 3rd spot there with Focusato. He might have a little bit of a run down the low side. Now we'll shoot back up high. And Hughes is going to be hung out like a wet blanket as he tries to side draft everybody going into turn 3. Now it's a 3-car breakaway with Blake Warren out front looking for his first win here in the middle segment of the 2025 season. Nunez trying to make that low line work as well. In car number 18, he'll shoot down to the low side, trying to dump some air on the spoiler of Focusato's car. Focusato remains ramrod straight on the outside lane in car number 37, sporting colors of Italy. The Italian colors, the Italian stallion there in number 37. He's right behind his championship rival in the 1 of Apollo Hyde, looking for his 5th win in segment 2 of 2025, and he is right on the rear end of that 8 machine. Still on the rear end of Blake Warren. I think he's just trying to stay in live in an EEE number 1 machine. Another Honda Civic running up to the front here as we approach the midway point. And the Coke Zero Sugar 160K at Daytona. Focusato warping back and forth from the 37. Got to be careful about the net coating here, especially in the back is Brendan Whitford, a little bit out of shape in the 131 car, running a Chase Elliott throwback scheme. Celebrating 100 years of Napa. Hey, Brendan, he does work in Napa. Of course, this is presented by AutoZone, so a little bit of sponsorship competition between these two cars. Whitford right on the back bumper of the 85 of Conti. He was going to shoot down the low side of the 82, and everybody just trying to run in line before this opening set of pit stops. So our game did indeed crash right as we're doing some onboards with the replays. So I do not believe that anybody came down the pit lane. We'll double check that on here with our outward in-car camera of Blake Warren. who continues to lead the way here at Daytona. Everybody running up. And everybody did indeed make a pit stop on lap number 7. Look at the run that Keith got down to the low side. Jeez Louise. Had a big run developing right behind the 84 of Daly, and he is just trying to find a way to wedge himself in line. It's a little bit of a hole between the 1 and the 37, but not nearly wide enough for a Honda Civic to stick their way into. He's just trying to find his way in there, but now he's going to fall a little bit there in that Bucky's Accord. Now Nunez will drop down low, trying to make a second lane work, and Hughes very loose out of the corner. He will collect the 18. Nunez is around. I believe the caution flag is out, and it is right at the halfway point in this contest. And that looked like it may have just been a bump gone wrong, or just like we saw with Michigan, Hughes catching the seam in turn number 3. And the pole sitter and the early dominant driver of the contest will go around to the 82. Doesn't look like there's a whole lot of damage on the back end of that Bucky's Accord. And Victor Nunez's poor race, his bad luck will continue. Tyler Stallhood also catching up in the 7. I believe he just came off of the pit lane. As the pace car will collect everybody, Blake Warren won the race back to the line. And I'm not sure if these guys are going to come down the pit lane right now, because the way that they're running, they're not going to be able to make it to the end. They're going to be about maybe 2 laps short on fuel if they pit here right at lap 19. So about a lap away, from the midway point of the Coke Zero 160K. So if this race does go caution-free for the rest of it, which I doubt that it will, but I've seen stranger things happen, this is going to turn into a fantastic fuel mileage race, and we do have a couple of drivers that will stay out. Felicitas and Tate Dorsey will be staying out, but we're on board. We're going to follow along with Blake Warren. We'll come down the pit lane here in car number 8. And he'll get some service there in the 8 car. It looks like it's just going to be gas and go for the Budweiser 8 machine. A couple of drivers will elect to take tires. And does anybody try to go for a splash and go? I believe Keon Daly did. Daly will be the first car out and away in the Chevron number 94 Dodge. Paulo Hyde will beat off Blake Warren as well. Focusado will come out in 4th, and rounding out the top 5 will be Conti. We're going to take another look and see what happened to bring out the opening, or the second caution of the afternoon. And that all started when the 82 of Keith Hughes went around off the corner. And we're going to see if we got a little bit of help there from Victor Nunez in a multi-car incident. We're going to follow here with Hughes, and I think there may have been a little bit of net coating there. Yeah, you see just a tiny little bump there from the 18 of Nunez. And around goes Hughes, Sportsman Finale winner from a couple of days ago, and just tagged the 18. Looks like the 9 and the 60 also got a little bit of damage, and Keon Daly was able to avoid all of that in the 94. And 2 cars going around here, going into the tri-oval, but they should be able to continue. We'll get another look at this. Here's a look from the 18 of Victor Nunez, and just a little bit of a bump there on the 82, and caught the inside quarter panel of that 18 Camry. He'll spin around. Doesn't look like there is any more damage on that machine, and he will be out and away. And this is the replay on the other end of that incident, on the back end of Keith Hughes. And I think they may have just been a little bit of an arrow loose there. I didn't see the 18 him in the rear end, but he should be good here. Tough break for Keith Hughes in that 82. So everybody coming back down the pit lane to try to top off on fuel with the 1 to go here. 46 machine. Gavin Felicitas will be the race leader. So we clean up caution number 2 of the afternoon. Victor Nunez dropping back in the 18. I believe that was probably the cause of that crash. Yeah, that was... So 18 of Nunez claiming that caution, so he will drop back to the tail end of the longest line. So this is going to be very interesting to see how this all shakes out. But Gavin Felicitas is in row 1 on the inside lane. Then you've got Winston Wolf on the outside. I don't believe that he pit once again as well. Keith Hughes is in 3rd. He did not come down once again. Tyler Stallhood is in 4th. Blake Warren, I believe everybody behind Blake Warren, came back in once again to top off on fuel. So the top 4 drivers stayed out, or at least only came down once. And they cannot mathematically make it to the end, but they are going to bank on another caution coming out. Green flag in the air, and Gavin Felicitas will lead his first lap under green. Hughes right on the back end of that 46 car. Remember, he was the one who caused that caution, or at least was one of the parties that was involved. Victor Nunez was the one who claimed the yellow flag. And a good start for pretty much everybody up in here. Bobby Simpson has retired from the race in the 30 car, so 16 cars remain here. 15, I should say. With RJ Bishop being 12 laps down, and here we go. We're nearly 3 wide up in the top there. I thought Blake Warren was going to try to Days of Thunder it going up on the high side. But it's Winty Wolf who's going to push that 82 machine back to the race lead, and Keith Hughes looking for a little bit of a spin and win there in the 82. Wolf right on the back end, and Felicitas now beginning to net code in and out just a little bit in that 46, but it's a 3-car breakaway for the top spot here, officially on the back end of the 40-lap Coke Zero Sugar 160K. Again, 4 drivers on the grid are going to have to come down once again. And I believe, I don't know, it's going to be very, very close on fuel for all these guys that came down at lap 21. I think it's going to be safe to say that if we don't get a yellow flag, this race is going to come down to fuel mileage. I think it's going to be very, very safe to say that this is ultimately going to be a fuel mileage race, because everybody right now running relatively single file. Everybody's just trying to save as much fuel as they can to get to the end as quick as they can. And Treek Togger off pace there in the 60, I believe. He may have come down the pit lane once more. Hughes, Wolf, Warren, your top 3. Felicitas trying to get back up in the podium. Stallhood to the outside there in the 7 car. Stallhood trying to make that outside lane work. Apollo Hyde is also up on the high lane in that 1 machine. Trying to pile that 1 all the way to the front. Felicitas continues to warp, but he continues to fight for 3rd with Warren. Wolf back in this battle. 3 wide down low. Keon Daly dipping his left side tires beneath the double yellow line, but he did not advance his position. Doesn't look like there's going to be any sort of penalty for that there for the 94. Felicitas a little bit loose coming out of the corner, and he will continue to have some netcode issues, but he'll continue to remain ramrod straight in that 46, and now Warren trying to make a charge on the outside lane of Hughes. Wolf doing a real good job pushing that 82 car out front. 10 laps to go from the point of no return, and now the fight for the top spot getting a little bit more squirrely up in this battle. Apollo Hyde running all over the place there in that one machine. He's right on the back end of Blake Warren. Warren right on the back end of the race leader. Looking to go wire to wire here is Keith Hughes. Spun around to bring out the second caution, but he's back up front based on pit strategy. But he cannot make it to the end of this contest. We know that for sure. These guys can only do about 18 or 19 laps on fuel. Hughes came down on lap 19. He is going to run dry by the time lap 38 runs around, and Nicky Conti up into the outside retaining wall. But that 85 Hot Topic Ford will continue to hold his position all the way in the back there. Conti, last time by, was an 8th, and I believe he'll retain that spot. Victor Nunez nearly net coating into the wall, but he'll keep that 18 car on the road. Now Blake Warren has got a big run to the inside of Keith Hughes. He goes. Where does Apollo Hyde go? He will go down the low side, will join his red, white, and blue counterpart down behind him. And Keith Hughes will be hung out to dry by a couple of fuel stalwarts down on the low side. That was a really, really good run there from Blake Warren to put that 8 car back out front. No surprise to see car number 8 out front here at Daytona. Closing in on 10 laps to go here in the Coke Zero Sugar 160K. Oh, and a little bit loose there is the 84 Crystal Bennett back up through traffic. Focusato got tagged as he was trying to brake. Stallhood and the 46 of Felicitas were tagged as well, and caution number 3 is out here at Daytona. Ike Durbin was caught up as well, and well, we knew that this being a fuel strategy race was going to count on these guys keeping it straight for the next 20 laps. And they were not able to do so. Caution number 3 of the afternoon. I think that's exactly what Keith Hughes wanted to see out of his rear view mirror, was the tail end of the field going around. That all got started when Crystal Bennett got out of shape in the 84. Vincenzo Focusato, I think he ARCA braked into that accident. Kind of looked like, trying to remember who hit Ed Pompa in the ARCA race at Lime Rock back on Saturday it was. Trying to remember who ran into him. It was, it was Jason Kitzmiller. It looked like a little bit like Jason Kitzmiller running an Ed Pompa during the ARCA race. But pit road will be open this time. We're going to have 11 laps to go as they cross onto the start-finish line, and Apollo Hyde will stay out. We're going to have any more drivers staying out. Keith Hughes cannot mathematically make it, and Apollo Hyde is going to be a very, very lonely man on the racetrack. He's going to be the only driver that will stay out. Apollo Hyde will be the race leader going back here from the caution flag, and Blake Warren with only a splash and go in the 8 car. I believe that's going to be the call for pretty much everybody. Barely even getting the splash there was the 82 of Keith Hughes. He will come out first off the pit lane, will be second when we go back through the gears. Literally just a splash of fuel for pretty much all of these guys. There's a look at the 84 of Crystal Bennett, and we'll now go and see what happened to put us under the yellow flag for the 3rd time today. And I believe it was another similar incident there with 18 of Nunez, who may have gotten the back end of the 84, going back up through traffic, and I think Brenda Whitford got in the 37 of Focusato to pinch that 37 car around. Ike Durbin also went around in the 86. Stallhood and Felicitas were also caught up in this accident as well. Doesn't look like anybody's going to have to retire from this race. but it's not what you want, especially for Gavin Felicitas, who was trying to play a similar strategy to what we saw with Keith Hughes, and he gets caught up in this accident. We'll take another couple looks at it. Is on board with Vincenzo Focasato, and you see that 84 car getting loose right in his screen, and yeah, you could feel the 131 car getting the back end of the 37, and just a tough break for all these guys involved. This is the onboard camera with Victor Nunez, and definitely got in the back of the end of the 84. And around goes the rest of the field right behind him. Looks like Nicky Conti was also caught up in this incident as well. One final look at this caution in real time, and Nunez just got in the back end of Crystal Bennett, and everybody was trying to skitter, scatter, and patter around. Tyler Stallhood gets put in the back in the 7 car. It's not what you want. Not what you want indeed. But Apollo Hyde was the only car to stay out on this caution flag. And he is going to be the race leader right here when it gets set with 9 laps to go here in the Coke Zero Sugar 160K. Hyde took the outside lane. Keith Hughes down to the low side. That's row number 1. Blake Warren, Keon Daly, row number 2. Tyler Stallhood, Trick Togger, row number 3 to complete the top 6. 9 laps to go in the Coke Zero Sugar 160K. And we're back to the green flag here. Hyde is the control car. And a really good push there from the 94. Got the 82 back up front. But I believe that was going to be a black flag for Keith Hughes. But of course, with all the black flags here, the double file restarts, those are ignored. And Keith Hughes will go to the front in the 82. Hughes back up to the high side, right in front of Apollo Hyde. Now Hyde will sell a dummy down low. He's got a good run. Hughes falling back in the 82 when Warren will join the parade on the low side. Warren now up to second. Hughes will fall back in the Bucky's Accord. Trying to find a little bit of grip there, running in third. He's battling for that spot with the 94 of Keon Daly. 8 laps to go, and now the pressure is going to ramp up. Brendan Whitford a little in and out there on the 131 car. Nicky Conti trying to break inside the top 5, but Blake Warren down to the low side of Apollo Hyde. Hyde, the points leader, looking for his 5th win of the season. With the 82 right behind him, he'll shoot down to the low side, and here comes Keith Hughes. He's going to storm his way up through the low side. He's up to second. Keon Daly right behind him. On board with Keon Daly, he's going to go to third. He's going to look for second. He's going to be the first car in the inside lane. Blake Warren right on the back end. Hughes continues to lead in the 82 as we now go on board with Apollo Hyde, who runs in third. Hyde trying to remain on the back end of the 8 car as Warren looking for a lane, trying to bide his time with 6.5 laps to go here from Daytona. Hughes trying to block all covers. Warren starting to get very aggressive behind that Bucky's Accord. The 8 and the 82 running nose to tail right now, and everybody's starting to get a little squirrely. Hughes goes back up to the high side. Warren going back down low. A little bit loose out of turn 4 there for the 82. And here comes Warren trying to get a little bit of a ledge on the outside of the Bucky's Honda Accord. Warren now up on the high side in the Budweiser number 8. 6 laps to go from the Daytona International Speedway. And Hughes will fall down to second. Hyde still in third. Conti in fourth. And don't count out that 9 car. Winty Wolf. Again, there's just something about this super speedway air. But here we go. 5, count 'em, 5 laps to go when we have reached the point of no return here. They wreck now. That'll be the end of the race, and everybody's going to know it. Conti up to third. Wolf trying to block Hughes down low, and everybody just trying to get into a lane. Hughes is around to the 82. Does he go back up the track? Daly is into the wall. Everybody else keeps it straight. I believe that's only going to be a single car incident, no caution. That is such a tough break for Keith Hughes, who was running in 5th at the time of that incident. Only a single car crash. We remain green. You take a look at what happened there on your screen, and nothing that Keith Hughes could really do there in the 82, just getting a little bit aggressive right at the point of no return. 4 laps to go, and now Blake Warren, the dominant car, out front. Hyde and Wolf looking to strike here, and Keon Daly, rather, that's Crystal Bennett right behind them as well. Vincenzo Focasato looking to creep in that point run, that championship run that Apollo Hyde has got. 3.5 laps to go at Daytona. Hyde right on the back end of the 8. Wolf trying to bide his time. It's a 6-car pack. A 6-pack of cars, I should say. Up at the front, all in line. Inline choo-choo engine right here, coming around to 4 to go. Rather, 3 laps to go from Daytona. It's Warren out front. Hyde just trying to weigh with his move, and we're going to see where Wolf is going to go. Does he try to stick with his Camaro teammate? Does he try to go for the win along with the 1? What will Hyde do as he tries to get on the back end of Blake Warren in the 8 machine? Can Nicky Conti catch back up in time? And what are these guys back in here in the bottom end of this top 6? What are Bennett, Focasato, and Nunez able to do? Just a little bit over 5 miles remaining in this 40-lap contest, and Blake Warren looking to lead the final 5 laps. Sticks high in the air, 2 laps to go from Daytona, and it's Blake Warren out front, the Pied Piper of Daytona, out front here in car number 8. Wolf biding his time. 6 cars all in line. Now make it 7 as Nicky Conti will join the fray. Same thing with the 46 and the 131. Still anybody's race here. Still everybody is in line. Who will make the first move? That's going to be the $1 million question for these guys that continue to rumble out of turns 3 and 4. Through the stretch for the penultimate time. And here we go, into the tri-oval for the second and final time. White flag is in the air, 2.5 miles remain in the World Center of Racing. Blake Warren will lead the field into the clubhouse turn, and Apollo Hyde waiting to make his move. Here comes Winty Wolf down to the low side, 3 cars down low. Bennett trying to keep his 84 car on the road. 2 by 2, onto the back straightaway. Nearly half a lap remaining, and Wolf trying to take that spot away. He is nearly beating and banging with the 1 of Hyde. That might be it for Warren. I don't know if Wolf is going to be able to get a run, and now here comes Hyde going down the low side. Warren throws the block. He turns him. Hyde around. The 84 also in it. Hyde into the 9 car. Vincenzo Focasato is going to get through, and after a last lap crash, Focasato out of nowhere will win the Daytona 160K. How about that? Oh my goodness. Vincenzo Focasato, who is in 5th, wins a wild, wild finish here. Goodness gracious. Is all I've got to say about that. And that final third of a lap was certainly something else. And we got to get a couple of looks at this last lap crash here. And just this last lap in general, coming off of the back straightaway. And this was just absolute pandemonium back in here. So this is Blake Warren, who will end up finishing this race in 12th. And that was Apollo Hyde going down to the low side. Warren throws the block. Hyde still with the run. Warren turns himself on the front end of the one. And I thought Hyde was going around. He goes back up the track. Thought he was able to get it back on the road, but he just overcorrected. Goes into the 9 of Wolf. And everybody behind them crashes. And the man who's able to make it out of there and win, Vincenzo Focasato with a 37, a la James Buescher. Back, what was that, 2012, 2011 Xfinity Daytona. A lot of these guys hit hard in here. The 131 of Brendan Whitford, a hard lick. Nothing that a lot of these guys could really do, and goodness gracious. I think Whitford was trying to drive that 131 car backwards. Trying to see where Blake Warren ended up. There he is in the 8 car. We'll take another couple looks at this. We're going to go on board with Blake Warren. Actually, we're going to go on board with Apollo Hyde first. So this is the onboard of Apollo Hyde. Ducks down to the low side of the 8, and Warren with a very aggressive block. Try to get him again. I thought Hyde was able to keep that one car straight, but he just overcorrected it. And around everybody goes. Caution flag comes out. Vincenzo Focasato will end up winning the race. And this is the view of Focasato, who is running in 5th. And he is going to James Buescher this. Right down the low side, and Apollo Hyde wrecks in front of him, and all hell breaking loose behind that 37 car. Flying the Italian colors out front. Gavin Felicitas will go to 2nd. How about that there for Vincenzo Focasato? Able to get the job done here at the Daytona International Speedway. We are not quite done yet. We are going to go into our post-race show here in just a couple of moments. We'll be back in here in just a couple of moments. And we are back here after a wild conclusion to the Coke Zero Sugar 160K. And pulling a James Buescher right at the end, going from 5th to 1st, driving the number 37 machine, Vincenzo Focasato. Your 3rd win of the season, 2nd in a row after a good battle last week with the one of Apollo Hyde. You're able to get around Hyde on the final lap once again, but the whole field is wrecking behind you. Just talk us through what happened there on that final lap. A wild sequence of events.
Yeah, I haven't had the chance to go back and watch the replay, but from my vantage point, I think that Apollo and Blake made contact while going for the lead, fighting as hard as you want to race when the win is on the line. I think they made contact and sparked the whole thing. But that is fortunately not how I wanted to. Not how I want to be here. I know a lot of people with fast cars and great races can take. I know through a simple mistake, and it's a real shame for all of them. I feel sorry for those guys, but fortunately that's the way it played out. And here we are, I guess.
Yeah, you were able to come back after that 3rd accident with about less than 10 laps, or with about 12 laps to go when. I'm trying to remember who was. I think it was the 84. Crystal Bennett was turned in front of you and you got in the rear end from the 131. How are you able to really drive up through the field after seeing a little bit of damage on the back end and being able to put yourself? How are you able to put yourself in position for this win?
Well, I guess that was the secret, that there was no damage. I really lucked out there. Just a little bit of a bump from Brendan, and it was enough to change my rear clip and just tried to stay calm and take opportunities whenever they came. I felt a lot more comfortable on the high side, so I just tried to stay there and see how close to the front I can get. If not as far as I think I was going to go, but yeah, from there, it's all just going to good luck.
And then with 4 races remaining here in this segment, you were able to get a fairly decent swing over Apollo Hyde in the championship battle. You were only 41 points behind him coming into tonight. With 4 races remaining, I think tonight will definitely be launching off point, trying to use that momentum into the next 4 weeks and try to fight for this championship.
I don't think so. I'm not expecting to, and I don't mean that as a measure of like self-doubt. Just the realization that Apollo is one of the best there is. They are about as fast as they come when it comes to this game, and racing them full time for the last season and a half has been a real treat to get raced alongside them so much. So I expect that they'll recover with some of the races coming up being kind of races where you're quite as vulnerable. Always gonna do what we all do and try our best and see where I end up, and hopefully have more fun all the while. It was a great time tonight.
I'm gonna go let you celebrate with your guys in the beautiful number 37 livery. Vincenzo Fontana, congratulations on winning tonight's race.
Yeah, I'm really excited that I could end up pulling off in the Bremer livery. It's really special. Thank you very much, thanks for bringing the action to us all, and really appreciate it.
That was Vincenzo Fontana, driver of the number 37 machine. I will now go into our second place drive, number 46 of Gavin Felicitas. And Gavin, you got your head on?
Yes, sir, here I am.
Well, Gavin, I believe this was... I'm trying to remember how many starts you've had so far this season, but you certainly had an eventful race in that 46 car. Involved in a couple incidents, and you were able to drive through that wreck. Take us through what happened there on that final lap.
The entire last lap, I was just trying to find someone to work with. Doesn't seem like anyone wants to do the inside. Just pretty disappointing, honestly. I don't think there's really anything you can say about what happened to me. Like, everyone just started wrecking. What else can you do aside from, just put your foot down, you know what I mean?
Definitely, they're just trying to put your foot to the floor and don't break unless you see God or check a flag. All I need to know, guys. But you went through.
Amen.
you went through a lot going through this race. Caught up in 2 incidents, if I'm not mistaken. How were you able to just battle back from a lot of that early on?
So I didn't really take that much damage on the 2 incidents I was involved in. That third caution that came out really saved me. I was running with one lap of fuel tank, so everything. But again, like I said, I don't think there's really any explanation to what happened to me today.
Yeah, and this is actually your first race ran of the season according to the point standings. And I saw you and a couple of the drivers were running that fuel strategy before that third caution came out, and you were able to really run in there. But being able to finish second, your first race of the season, we're going to take this momentum in a tweak.
Of course. I joined this league just to get my experience up. It's been like 2 years, 3 years. I've been in 2003, so I think that getting comfortable with everyone, that'll be definitely the dream for next week.
Well, certainly not a whole lot of rust to knock off the runner-up finish. Driver number 46, Gavin, let's just thank you so much for winning. Congratulations on the second place finish.
Thank
you. User disconnected from your channel.
That was the 46 of Gavin Felicitas, and we have one final driver who was all the way. I believe he was running in 11th at the time. Tate Dorsey.
What's up?
Well, Tate, he certainly had an eventful race, that's for darn sure. And looking back at that replay, you had to avoid pretty much the tail end of the junkyard at the end there. So just take us through that final lap crash that just took out pretty much everybody in the top half of the field.
Yeah, we missed the setup by a bit. Car's just slow. My own fault, but that's the fun part of fuels. You can kind of do your own thing, and if you're bad, it's your own fault. But I was just going in, and I was like, they're probably gonna make a move, and I'm far enough back. If they wreck, I should be able to just. I honestly was like, if they wreck, I'll get 7th, 8th, maybe pick off a few, and then it was just cars littered everywhere. And I was so focused on weaving through them. I crossed the line and looked at my F2 and said third. I laughed out loud a little bit. I was like, there's no way. But I was too far back to even see what exactly happened. I came around turn 4, and there's a car up at the wall. There's cars down at the wall. There's cars coming across the track. And I've been practicing my slaloms enough, I guess. So made it through without touching anyone.
Well, practicing the slaloms certainly paid off there, and you mentioned that you didn't quite nail the setup. Was that a good part of the reason why you're trying to stay more towards the back end of the field, or was that more from a strategic point of view?
That was just as fast as my car would go. I was all right in the draft for a little bit, but once it would get kind of single filed out, they could I'd just get a gap in front of me, and the people behind me could just dip low and get in front. And I was slow enough. I was like, I'm not going to try to block for 10th, 11th, whatever I was in, and just kind of said, well, I did this to myself. We'll just accept that we're having a bad day and bad day turned into a good day in about 5 seconds at the end there. So
It certainly did. And then final question before we get out of Dodge. Are you going to be able to take this momentum going into next week's race?
yeah, I think so. I enjoy Fuel quite a bit. I should probably get setups that people who know what they're doing make, but I have so much more fun taking something that's okay and then trying to make it drive how I want and finding if I can make it fast. Sometimes we hit it, sometimes we miss, but I just have a lot of fun at Fuel. So.
But that will do it here from the Daytona International Speedway. Congratulations to Vincenzo Focusato for winning the Coke Zero Sugar 160K here at the Daytona International Speedway. And we will continue to get going here over the course of the second segment of the season here for the Fuel Grand National Series. When we come back, it'll be next week on the streets of the Windy City, the Chicago Street Course. Next Wednesday on July 9th will be the race. So next Thursday, July 10th, will be the broadcast here on the North American Sim Racing Network. This intercast is copyrighted by the North American Sim Racing Network Company, and all usages of this broadcast without the express written consent of the NASRN are prohibited and punishable by me being not very happy. But we will see you next week at Chicago Street Course here. But from the Daytona International Speedway, on behalf of the North American Sim Racing Network, my name is Trey Wright. Have a great evening, folks.